Hello traders, welcome to our daily video. Right now it's just past midnight, so we are heading into Friday, and let's get into it. Sorry that today's video is quite late, but honestly I think the major events for this week had passed, at least for the economic point of view. Today, of course, three central banks come out from SMB, Bank of England, and ECB. Now, SMB, not so much to talk about it. They still kept the interest rate unchanged and minus 7.05. The monetary is still very loose and base. And for SMB, I don't think it's gonna change in 2018 as well. As long as the deflation continues in Switzerland, then most likely it will still become the most negative currency, fundamentally speaking. Okay, let's not forget Swiss franc is still one of the safe haven currency. So especially right now with the events happening in North Korea, a lot of people are wondering if the war happened between North Korea and US. Obviously South Korea, Japan, and China are all gonna get involved geographically, okay, because they are just beside North Korea. Then would people still buying Japanese yen to hedge their asset? That is a question that I don't know. To be honest, it's gonna be a new event in history. Of course, it's not the first time we have a war, but it's gonna be a new event since we have this kind of currency trading, the internet currency trading, things like this. So how are people going to react? I really don't know. But one thing for sure is that if I'm the investors, I don't really want to put my money in Japan when there's a war in North Korea because we're so close to the nuclear bomb. I'd rather put my money in Switzerland. So I think Swiss franc, because of that, is still going to be very attractive for a short-term sentimental inflow from the safe haven events. Now, Bank of England today and ECB all kept interest rate unchanged, so nothing new here. The vote was also as expected at 0.09. The monetary policy summary was considered to be dovish. The reason is because people again expected a much hawkish summary due to the inflation data on Tuesday. Remember, we have 3.1%, which is really the highest inflation in many years. But this data did not cause Bank of England to be more hawkish. On top of that, because the Brexit negotiation is still ongoing, and yesterday the UK Parliament voted against the government. So right now the Parliament, the MP has the saying in the Brexit final deal. That's definitely not a good position for Theresa May, because now if you go on a negotiation table, everybody knows you don't really have the full total control. You have to go back to seek the parliament approval, and you don't even have the majority of your parliament. Now, the worst case is that you don't even have the total control of your own party, sort of like Donald Trump right now. So Theresa May, a lot of her own Conservative Party member actually trying to oust her, try to betray her, things like that. So that was the focus. Nobody really paying. The Bank of England event didn't really put too much bullish sentiment into British pound. Then after that we have ECB. Now ECB was actually, I think, it's a much positive event. Why? Because European Central Bank actually upgraded the GDP forecast in 2018, 2019, and 2017. Especially 2018, the forecast, I remember, went from 1.8% to 2.3%. So that's a really big jump in terms of the GDP forecast. However, regardless of all the good numbers, Euro still got sold off. And to be honest, I got caught up in this. I was surprised because I jumped in to buy Euro out of the GDP upgraded because I think that was a really big jump. And Euro in general is doing very well in 2017. In 2018, it's going to be a good year if they continue what they're doing right now. And the only thing that dovish is that Draghi is still very conservative about the future rate hike. He's not looking to do anything about the interest rate. He doesn't even have a exact deadline for the end of the asset purchase. But all these were not a surprise. I mean, Draghi was always conservative. So the only thing I can say is that we already had a buy rumor into euro. A lot of people already buying euro ahead of today's events because they already expected euro to go up. They already expected a much more hawkish. So, and when they didn't get that, they were very disappointed, and then they start dumping euro. That was the only reason. I obviously miscalculated the situation because I get into buy euro. I got in buying the euro, and right now almost got stopped out. So that was really a missing trade for me. Now, for me to really trade the central bank event haven't been quite successful. The reason is because for me, it's much easier to trade the data. For me, data is very straightforward, right? If you expected 62 and you have 63, obviously that's a good number. If you expected, if you expected something like here, you expected 30, come out 29, obviously that's a negative number. Of course, you have to take into a bigger context of what was the existing sentiment. But for me, the number from the economic release are more straightforward than the central bank statement, especially for me. Maybe because English is not my first language, things like that. I sometimes misunderstanding the statement or how people read message between the lines. So I'll be honestly, I'm not really good at that. And whenever I trade through the central bank event, I sometimes got into the wrong side of it. So for me, probably I'm not going to do too much of those kind of trade because I find it's not that successful for me. But nevertheless, that was the result today. The market pretty much sold off British pound because they were disappointed of Bank of England. The market sold off euro because they were disappointed of ECB. So that, of course, is beneficial for dollar, but not so much because we still had a lot of geopolitical uncertainty. As I mentioned, we have a new senator going to represent the Alabama. On top of that, I think there are two more senators that came out publicly saying that they are not going to vote for the final tax reform bill unless there are some new amendment. So it's just another new uncertainty into that. Now, today we also have Bank of Canada, Polo speaks. Polo's was actually quite hawkish. He's saying that there's less needs for a future stimulus. So it's a very hawkish comment, and obviously Canadian dollar went up. If you look at dollar CAD, actually it goes into my direction right now. So CAD once again become a strong currency. Okay, so right now let's take a look at let's take a look at DAX. So DAX, as you can see, it really went up but went down today. So really just in between the area. Euro dollar, obviously, market was very excited. We broke out this regression channel. But after the ECB, we actually came back to touch the channel again. So same thing happened to cable. Same thing happened to cable. We actually have this higher high, and now we back on here. Euro pound, not so much. It's more of like a range bound for euro pound because we couldn't tell which one is stronger or weaker. Dollar CAD, obviously, it's the trade I'm still in and looking for it to go to a downside area. Dollar yen, I already moved to break even. The reason is because I was going to hold it for a much longer period, as this is an 8-hour chart. But because the Alabama senator event, and right now I just think that if they lose one more senator in 2018, that's going to pretty much really going to make the Trump administration become more capped in the things that they are able to do, because there's going to be more opposite force in the Senate. So pretty much it's going to be even harder to pass any legislations. Aussie CAD, I got stopped already. Same as New Zealand CAD. You can take a look at my yesterday's video. I talked about all this already. New Zealand was another trade I'm still in. I was banking, looking forward for a stronger Japanese yen out of a December geopolitical events. We haven't had that happening right now. So of course we'll see what happens. But that was the basic general idea to get into this kind of a swing setup. Was hoping that in December we'll have more geopolitical uncertainty to cause the safe haven inflow, which will diminish the New Zealand dollar. That was before the RBNZ nominate a new governor. So again, as I mentioned in my previous video, was a surprise for me. I miscalculated. I didn't know that information is coming very soon. So of course, New Zealand become very strong right now. Okay, so talking about a 2-day day trade I'm still in. Aussie dollar, I took it yesterday out of the positive employment data. Was really just in the range bound all day. And right now we broke the new high. It does look like it's going to resume higher high. But 76.80, it's right now the highest high. I want to see if we are able to break this high. Then I can continue to tighten my stop loss. My stop loss was already tightened right here. Okay, the stop loss originally was below here. So the stop loss originally was below this low. I think 75. Yeah, was below here. Oh, sorry, didn't come out. It was here. Well, my original stop loss was here. Obviously, I move it higher to here right now. If we can break above this high later on, 76.80, I'm going to move to here, this area. So I'm just going to trail up this stop. The reason I'm still in this trade is because I think Aussie is still quite strong. Let's take a look at the commodity market. See, copper is still going higher. That's a good sign for Aussie. And we don't really have any other catalysts to weaken Aussie at the moment. So it's really dependent on what's going to happen in US dollar. If we have a continuation of geopolitical uncertainty, which you look at dollar yen right now, it's looking to the downside. If that's the case, then Aussie dollar is looking to go even higher. Euro Swiss, that's a trade I took that almost got stopped out. Really just a loser for me. So I took it really pretty much at the high. I took it at the news that at the GDP forecast upgraded from ECB was a very good news. I jumped in, took this trade when it break 1.17 handle. I was looking forward for it to keep going higher. Then it pretty much just went lower all day, and market pretty much sold off euro. So it's completely a losing trade for me. Miscalculated the central bankers event. And again, as I mentioned, I'm not really good at trading through the central bank's event. It's just, I'm not really good at listening or reading the lines. So for me, pretty much gonna do less about that. For me to do a central bank event, probably best to let the event pass and then let the market decide what direction it wants to go. Now, of course, the exception is that if the interest rate is hike or cut, right? If that's a surprise, then definitely you could trade those events. But other than that, if you want to trade through the press conference, not my best strength. So I pretty much probably just gonna stay away from that. So we'll see what happened here. This is my stop loss, almost got stopped out. Only have 10 pips to go. So we'll see. Maybe this is the lowest low, and then I will be just lucky to get out of this trade. But if not, then this is really just a losing trade. Okay, so that's really everything I have. As I mentioned, that I'm slowly wrapping up. I'm only going to do day trade for now on until next week. Then really going to pretty much wrap up on the week of 24th. Then that's the end for me. Gonna take the final week off, then back on January to 2018. Okay, so I would suggest you, of course, do the same thing. If you're a scalper, day trader, you can still trade the market day in, day out, but try to wrap up before the holiday season. I still have few swing trade in. Now, dollar yen are already break even, so it's fine for this one. Dollar CAD, I really want to just get out, to be honest with you. New Zealand, same thing. I either get stop out or get out. So these are the trade that I really want to wrap up because they are all the swing perspective. Day trade wise, Aussie dollar, Euro Swiss, they are fine. I'm pretty much gonna get stop out, or we're trading to get stop out before tomorrow, before the end of the market. All right, and now Friday, today, tomorrow, I look at the calendar. Really don't have much going on. Okay, really don't have much going on. We do have an NPC member, Holden Speaks. Sorry about that, Holden Speaks. But that's really about it. The big major event for this week had passed by Thursday. So I don't expect too much. Now we might have something geopolitically, especially UK and EU are supposed to sign the Brexit deal, and we might have further update from the tax reform bill from US. So these two can be a market shaker, but in terms of the calendar-wise, not much going on here. So pay attention to the news, and we'll see what happens. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. If you have any question, please do feel free to let me know. I'll be happy to answer it. All right, see you tomorrow then. Bye.